So good afternoon, everybody. Delighted to welcome you to this network event where we have some very special guests, as well as some very important colleagues on the call. We're going to frame the event in the way that the session overview will show. I'm going to introduce you first of all to Harry and Anna Wake. I'm going to do a massively short whistle-stop tour of our GCSE computer science, and then Harry and Anna are going to take over basically and do a demo of their Mission Encodable website. Anna in terms of the student angle, and then Harry from the teacher's point of view. Then we're going to grill the two lovely A-level students. We're going to throw some directed questions at them. They have been warned in advance. We're not being mean, but we're going to try and get very quickly to an open question and answer session so that you can all have an opportunity, depending on numbers, to actually come off mic. Maybe to begin with, we'll ask you to put a hand up or type questions in the chat as you're going along. So that's how we're going to go through the session. We've got an hour, so we want to get buzzing along, I think. So the thing that I'm really delighted, Harry, I don't know how he got through to me. My job role at Pearson, I'm Tim Brady, by the way, subject advisor at Pearson Edexcel. My job is to support teachers who deliver computer science and other qualifications. And normally I have a good team of people keeping students away from me, because it can be difficult, because 9 times out of 10 when a student is on the phone, I have to tell them, you need to go talk to your teacher. But this young man called me, he was year 10 at the time, and he told me, well, I've created a website with my cousin, and it's helping people learn how to do programming. And I thought it was just so interesting that we struck up a friendship. I've been a fan of what he's doing ever since, but we've only met for the first time just at a meeting late last year, wasn't it? So, and that's Harry. So on the presentation there, you can see his. So Harry, say hello.
Hi everyone. Really
Hi.
Sorry, it's probably quite awkward, isn't it?
And nice Anna, his cousin, is also with us. So they're both year 12 students now doing computer science. Anna, do you want to say hi?
Don't think Anna's here at the moment. I'm not sure where she's gone. Really sorry.
Oh dear. I hope she was there for a minute ago, but it's lovely to have students who are so close to having just completed GCSEs talk about the GCSEs. So we feel really pleased to have them here today. So let me just crack on with telling
Anna's
you.
back, sorry.
Great,
just joined again.
Anna, just say hi. I had your write-up, so.
Hang on, I'll just allow
Local
him
climbing
mic.
centre.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I hear your question. I was just joining.
No, it's not a problem. I was just gonna ask you to say hello. I was just introducing you to everybody. So we've got your thing there. Hopefully, not fallen off any climbing walls lately. No.
No, I haven't.
Good job. Good job. Right. Let's zoom on. So our computer science GCSE is 2 papers. Paper 1, which is a written 1 hour and 30 minutes exam, 50% of the qual. And paper 2 is our on-screen practical assessment. Now, Harry sat our GCSE. Anna, you didn't.
No, I did AQA.
You did the AQA one. So this to Harry will look very familiar, and to you, Anna, probably less so.
Quite familiar. We've been quite a big look at the specifications. So.
You've had a good look. Okay. So the thing that makes me feel very confident about this computer science qualification are these 4 pillars, which I'll quickly go through, and then we'll get on to the interesting stuff with Harry and Anna. But the specification obviously is a key collection of all the subject content. The Getting Started guide exemplifies and clarifies every spec point. So when we were designing this qualification, we felt it was imperative that teachers know where they can stop teaching, so that there's clarity and security in both the specification and the content, as well as the assessment. In the same vein, the PLS, the program language subset, specifies exactly how much of the programming language of Python needs to be covered in order to get every one of the 75 marks in paper 2. And then finally, the Good Programming Practice Guide explains how we're using a programming language as a vehicle to teach or to deliver a computer science qualification. And we don't adopt fully Pythonic shortcuts. We try to build into our delivery, our content, and also our assessments that we reward students for good practice. So we're trying to give them good habits, so that if at A level or beyond they want to go to a programming language which is maybe more syntactically challenging, they've got good habits. So those 4 documents pretty much summarize and make the qualification a secure spec. So now we come to the time where Mission Encodable, we're going to hand over to Anna. Are you going to do the first part, Anna, where you're doing it from the student's perspective? Let's see, do you know how to share your screen yet?
Well, I had to rejoin on my iPad because my laptop is playing up. So I think Harry will share, and
okay, brilliant.
We've just been having a little WhatsApp.
Okay, you're back channeling us.
And I will talk. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, brilliant. No problem.
Technical difficulties.
Just talk me about however you see fit, Anna. I'm on the website now. Hopefully everyone can see that.
All right, so this is the homepage of Mission Encodable, which is the website Harry and I have created. And it's, as you can see there, it's free, project-based, creative and engaging Python tutorials for young people. So that works really nicely with Edexcel. And we cover most of your specification for programming in Python. And we have a new Turtle level coming soon, and then we will have covered it all. So if you, great. You can see all of our levels here, and we have split our course up into 9 really well sequenced levels. And we've done that with the help of Craig and Dave. So our levels perfectly match up with the levels on Time to Code, if any of you are familiar with that. So that means they are perfectly interchangeable, which is really great. And also it means that our levels are really well sequenced and well structured to ensure that your students will be able to do everything really confidently, hopefully by the end. So in Python level 1, this is where we take students right from the beginning. If you have no experience, so inputs, outputs, and structured programs. And our capstone project, you can see a little trinket embed here. And this is the project that students complete at the end of the level independently. And this just checks their knowledge and makes sure that they know about all of the content that is supposed to be covered in that level before moving on. And also I think it's good to show here because it shows what you can do after you finish this level, because if you can go from nothing to being able to make that, I think that shows a nice progression right from the start. So then inside the level, you can see we've broken down, this is, we'll show you Python level 1, but this is kind of the general structure for most of our levels. So we have a few text-based tutorials. So for example, right at the beginning, we have what is Python, we have setting up your IDE, and finally how to structure your programs. And these 3 steps, we think they're just really important to have right at the beginning, because if you're a beginner, this just shows you exactly how to get started. And then we have print statements. This is probably quite a good example of one of our steps, but you can see we show students the syntax, an example, what should happen when that's run. And then we usually have a few little extra things, like for print statements, I know we cover multi-line printing and also carriage return and line feed, which is just nice little extras to have. But then really what's the most interesting thing about Mission Encodable, in my opinion, are the projects. And Harry and I have tried to pick really, really interesting projects for students. We're students ourselves, so we know all too well the pain of having to, I don't know, find the volume of a box or something like that. So we've tried to pack our tutorials with lots of these fun projects. As you can see here, this one is Mad Libs, which I think is really nice. I don't know if any of you have come across that with your students at school, but you enter a load of names, adjectives, verbs, and then a silly sentence pops out. And it's quite often featured in comics, but it works really well in Python. And hopefully you can also see that we guide students through this, which shows them the ideal way of structuring their programs and of putting the concepts they've learned into practice. And the other thing I would just point out is that even though this is a more fun project, it doesn't mean that students aren't going to learn anything by completing it. As you can see, we have many of the core programming fundamentals, assignment, input, string concatenation, print statements, subprograms. So I think that will just give students a really solid base in their understanding and allow them to put it into practice in a really fun and engaging way that they should find really interesting. And the final thing to look at, I think, in this level is the capstone project, which is what we saw right at the beginning on the kind of introduction page, lifetime statistics. And this one is completed independently by students. So it's a little bit like a test, if you want to call it that, but a bit more exam style, because you see what the project does, and then you have an outline of what you need to do, maybe some extra information if that's needed, and then how you can evaluate your program, which is just to give students a little bit of support, but not too much. And that means that they can show what they're good at, and they can also maybe show what they need to go back and work on. But also, in keeping with the Mission Encodable style, we've tried to make these capstone projects also really interesting and engaging to keep students wanting to continue with their programming. So that is the student side of Mission Encodable. Oh, and of course, certificates at the end of the level, which we think is a really nice way of encouraging students to learn to program. It shows their accomplishments and achievements, and they're all personalized. So I know some people like to stick them up around their classroom, which I think is really nice to showcase students' accomplishment. So that's all from the student side mainly. Most of our levels follow that pattern. And I will hand over to Harry to show you a bit about the teacher side of Mission Encodable.
Thank you very much, Anna. So that's, as Anna just said, that's what students will see. And I should also mention, because I don't think we've mentioned it enough already, but it's really easy for them to get started. All they need to do is head over to missionencodable.com/get started, or they can click on the big sort of orange button there. So it's all self-guided. So a lot of teachers might share that link with their students. Just tell them to get on there, learn a concept, or maybe look over a concept they've done a while ago. But also you can set that as a homework, or you might say, you know, we're going to do this project now for Mission Encodable, and then share a link to that individual project. So lots of different ways to use it depending on how you see fit. But we do have, as I was about to come on to, a whole set of resources we've created specifically with teachers in mind to help you really get the most out of the scheme that we've created. Again, all with Craig and Dave's lovely seal of approval there. So I'll show a few of them off to you, but these are all, again, free to download from our teachers page, which is at missionencodable.com/teachers, very imaginatively. So we've got all sorts of different classroom materials like coding notebook sheets, which follow a sort of Cornell style. But we also have different progress trackers for your students, launch presentation, solution code files, and some posters for around the school. So the first one of those that I'll show you is our student progress tracker. So as Anna was mentioning, there are lots of different projects in the course, and it can be quite helpful to know where students are up to. And because Mission Encodable doesn't have accounts or anything like that, we wanted to make it all as easy to use and as open as possible. We don't have any sort of automated progress tracking at the minute. So what we suggest happens instead is that you download a copy of this spreadsheet, and then you can keep track of where your students are all up to. So it's a really nice way of seeing at a glance where different students are up to. Maybe some are struggling a bit, they might need some more help with individual concepts. But also you can see which levels might be slightly problematic. So if there's a lot of sort of red in level 2, perhaps, that might be an indicator you go, you need to go and have a look back at selections, since that's what's in level 2. Don't worry though, you don't necessarily need to populate this yourself, because I'm sure we can all imagine that would take ages. What lots of teachers do actually is they'll upload this on something like Google Drive or OneDrive. Then they'll share a link with that to their students and invite them as editors, so they can just edit the cells to mark what they've done. Then perhaps every so often the teacher goes through and checks whether the capstone projects have been done, since remember, those are the ones where we don't give as detailed instructions, but students do them to see what they know and what they can't do yet. So that is the student progress tracker we've made. But what we also have is we've got a launch presentation. So it's a really nice little PowerPoint, and it just goes through how Mission Encodable works to explain it to students. So if you wanted to start using it in your lessons, it'd be nice for you to download this, just use it in the first lesson perhaps, just to show off how our platform works and what it does. So when they see it's got a photo of Anna and I, just telling them about the team who've made Mission Encodable, since not many resources students will use are made by other students, I don't think, generally. Then it also shows them, what a tutorial is and what the different types of projects that we have are. I know I'm going through this all very quickly, so if anyone wants to sort of have a look at the teacher page, it's at missionencodable.com/teachers. Always email us with any questions, and hopefully have a nice Q&A in a moment. But the final thing that I would like to show you we've got is our Computing Legends series, which some of you might already have seen. But basically what we're doing is each month this year, on the 1st of each month, we are diligently making a new poster and writing a blog post about a key sort of pioneer in computer science. So often students might not learn about these, but they're really interesting to know about, I think, because they can spark some really interesting conversations. Like here we've got Tim Berners-Lee, that links to topic, I want to say it's 4, isn't it? The networking topic in Edexcel. It's got all the different sort of networking structures and things in it. So it might be interesting to learn about Tim Berners-Lee whilst you do that, because he, created a lot of the technologies that we learn about in that GCSE. So each one's got a blog post and also a nice eye-catching poster like this one here. And we've seen some really nice pictures of those up in teachers' classrooms, students really enjoying them, and there's a new one out each month, so hopefully nice little way to spark a conversation at the start of each month. But that is the Mission Encodable website in a nutshell, what we offer to teachers and students. So hopefully that's giving you all a bit of an overview, but we'll very gladly take any questions in a minute after the next item on the agenda.
Harry, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. It's so impressive. Now, I've been looking at the chat. I don't see any questions coming in. Delegates, please. It's always difficult for us talking into a microphone, and it's lovely to hear other people's voices. I'm sure you have loads of questions for Harry and Anna. Like, my question would be, where do you find the time when you're studying A-levels?
I mean, it's a good question, and I think the answer to that more so is that we already have done most of the work before we started A-levels. So Mission Encodable's up now. We've got nearly all the levels done, covering the whole of the commands in the PLS. The only bit we don't have yet is Turtle, which is a little topic that crops up every so often, and we've nearly addressed that gap. So this weekend, Anna and I were together. We've written the Turtle level. We made a video for the start of it, and that will be up hopefully in the next week or two. Once that's done, I should mention the whole of paper 2 on Edexcel's GCSE computer science will be covered. So it's all there, all ready to use, and students can find support with any bit of the course that they need.
Okay, I've got one other question.
Yeah, go for it.
What made you think to do it?
Why did you answer
what was it? What was it that motivated you? I mean, you're sitting there in your GCSEs. You've got enough to think about, but you decided, no, we're also going to make a resource for other students.
So I think something that a lot of students, they don't really like computer science as a subject, especially the programming. I think a lot of students in my class, they found it quite difficult and quite frustrating and not very interesting, because all the projects are quite kind of samey. They can be quite mathematical, and I mean, just not very interesting. I mean, like, finding the volume of a box is fine.
How many times can you do that?
Yeah, how many times can you do that really? And is it really that interesting? I think there are plenty of other programs you could do. So Harry and I, we were complaining about this a bit because we both really like programming. I think we've been lucky to have had quite a good experience with it outside of school. Like my dad is quite techie, so he kind of taught me to program a bit before going to school. So we were kind of lamenting this, and then we thought, you know what, we could do something about this. We'll start doing Mission Encodable and make all our projects really interesting right from the start, so that students are hopefully hooked into programming and enjoying it and want to take it further, because it is a really good skill to have. And I think a lot of people don't do it because they don't find the programs interesting. I don't know, Harry.
Nice. So you've definitely, I think, helped. We've got a comment from one of our delegates. Really nice projects, and I like the spreadsheet. Really teacher friendly.
Oh, that's great. Very nice to hear. Thank you.
That's good feedback. Yeah. So I'm going to put you under the spotlight now.
Okay.
Harry, you sat the Pearson Edexcel GCSE Computer Science qualification. Would you say it met your needs? Would you recommend it to other students?
It's like a game show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I really enjoyed doing it. I think I was always very interested in the programming side of doing a GCSE, but the idea of having to do that on paper just really does not make me feel very happy. So, you know, when I found out we'd be doing ours on screen, I was very, very pleased, because I'd heard all kinds of sort of nightmares about having to write it all out. And I was very glad not to have to do that. But the other thing I'd say that I really liked about it was how well organised the paper one was. So it's all organised into these sections with different topics. I'm not sure if you've got like an example to show at some point, but it's really nice how, you know, you'll know which type of question you're answering. There's no sort of guessing or mixing them all together. It's just nice and clear. You'll get there and it'll go networks, and you can recall your knowledge on that topic. And it just really allows you to focus in the exam, I think. So that's another aspect of it I really enjoyed. The other thing I would add, I know there's loads of things I like about it, but it's great how there are so many different practice materials available. So if people are watching this, I would say definitely go on the Pearson website, download them, because you've got the sample materials, you've got now 2 past papers, and then also the 3 sets of specimen papers. So that's six sets of papers in total, which is loads. Really, really good to get that practice in before the exam. So that was nice too. I hope that answers, but let me know.
That's a really comprehensive answer. And yeah, we when we did redevelopment, paper 1 was very much part of what we looked hard at, you know, as well as doing the innovative approach to paper 2. We realized that there were too many command words, and that the structure of paper 1 was trying to draw from content across the spec. So we really tidied that up as well. So, and the concept with the redevelopment was that it should be something that people can trust, and that's why we right from the very beginning decided to make so many specimen papers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very easy just to focus on paper 2 because that is the main sort of selling point of this. But also, you know, it's important to draw attention to just how good and well thought out and clear the paper 1 is, because often that might be overlooked, but that is really great too. So just thought, you know, it's worth mentioning.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, you're doing my job for me, or you're doing Pearson's job for them. What IDE do you two use? Do you think it's beginner friendly? How was your experience taking paper 2 on screen? So this is from a delegate. So Anna didn't do our paper, but what do you program with now, Anna? What's your IDE?
I usually use Visual Studio Code. That's what I use for Mission Encodable. That's what we both use. It works for me. It's very nice. You both use.
And what did you use, Harry, in paper 2?
Well, we had a very old IDE on our school computers. I think Network were quite reluctant to get anything else set up, so I have no idea what it was. It was ancient, but it did work, and you know, it did the job. But I think I agree with Anna. Like, Visual Studio is a really nice IDE to get set up. Another one is PyCharm, that I think is quite good too. That's got lots of like advanced functionality with it. I don't 100% know how all that works, but there are lots of things you can do using it, so that might be worth looking at.
So we have another couple of questions. Any consideration to include tkinter in the GCSE spec and or mission encodable? Students often say to me that they want to be able to relate their code to apps, tools. This makes the best link to me. And any plans for automating testing? No, it's not really possible in Trinket, and REPL-IT have made it difficult to teach now with Teams for EDO support ceasing. So we will not be putting tkinter into our PLS as far as our GCSE spec is concerned, because what we want to do is keep the PLS as it is. We're not planning to expand or to add any teaching. So yeah, the lack of GUI, I can see that might be something that would be frustrating. You're free to teach tkinter to your students, and they're free to use it in answering any of the questions. They won't need to, though. What about for mission encodable? Any GUI stuff in the plans?
It might happen in the future. Perhaps Anna can talk a bit more about this. I think, we always do respond to the feedback we get, so it's really great to hear that might be in demand. But one of the things I will say is that we're thinking of expanding Mission Encodable to cover A-level content. And when we do that, we might well have to include some form of GUI. It might not be tkinter necessarily, but I think there's some cool web development stuff you can do with Python. I think it's do with Flask, isn't it? Or there's a few other frameworks out there. So we might have some tutorials coming on that, but might not be in the near future. And possibly it's a bit beyond GCSE level as well. But we might consider it. So thank you for the suggestion.
So I'm going to hit you now with the next one for both of you now, Anna. I couldn't put you on the spot about how you liked Pearson's qual because you didn't do it.
I heard about it from Harry and I was like, oh, wish I was doing that.
so there's a teacher that's on our website that had done a write-up for us. He told his kids in September of year 11 that they were moving from the other board to ours, and he claims they all cheered. But it's a lovely story. But so you're now doing A-level computer science. How do you feel that your GCSE prepared you for the A-level? Does the Pearson Edexcel GCSE prepare students well for A-level?
Why don't you go first, Anna?
All right. So I can't speak for whether the Edexcel GCSE prepares you for A-level, but we're both doing the AQA board, and I think I do feel quite prepared for it. I feel like the A-level has not been too much of a step up. I mean, it has been, and it has been really interesting to find out about it, but I do think the GCSE gives you quite a strong foundation. So Harry, if you want.
Yeah, I agree. So we're both doing AQA's A-level, but I do think Pearson's GCSE in particular was really good preparation for that. So with the AQA A-level, you have Skeleton Code, as some of you might know, that gets released each year, and then you have a practical on-screen programming exam, a bit like this GCSE. I know AQA don't have it in their GCSE at the moment. And I think it's been really good actually having that experience of doing the exam on screen before starting the A-level, just because it means that by the time I get to that exam, I won't be thinking, oh, how does an on-screen exam work, because I'm quite used to doing it. So that's really nice.
It took the kind of stress away.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's nice to do an exam on screen at GCSE 2 just to get used to that. And it's just a format that I think is much better because, you program on screen. No one ever writes a program on a bit of paper, or at least not in terms of actual production. So I think by doing that, it just feels a lot more lifelike. It's a lot more fun, and it's nice that you can run it too and just see what issues you've got versus like having some examiner finding them afterwards without you even knowing about them. So I think it's a very logical approach. I think it makes a lot more sense generally.
Thank you. So they were the only two questions I was going to throw at you. So what we'd really love to do now would be to throw open the floor to so I've got a question on the chat. Can I ask which exam board you have moved on to for A-level? So it's AQA. How did your teacher prepare you for the on-screen assessment? So yeah, one question asking which A level you're doing, and it's the AQA A level. And then there's another question: how did your teacher prepare you for the on-screen assessment? So I think that's got to be you, Harry.
All right, well, thank you for the questions. So we did a lot of, I think I've already mentioned the specimen papers. They're great. We did those many times. I think I could probably recite half the questions in them to you even now. But I was very used to doing those. So definitely download those, give them to your students, use them as mocks, however you see fit. That was one key thing we did. But the other thing is just lots of practice, I think. You have to be good at programming to sit that paper 2 or you're not going to do well in it. And I think that's why it's well designed. It's a test of programming and does a good job of that. So really just doing lots of different projects. Like we've got loads on Mission Encodable to be good to practice with. Just shameless plug there. But yeah, it's doing lots of projects, doing lots of little challenges, I think, is the best way to do it. I would also say one really fun activity, this is not related to Mission Encodable, but good for any teachers listening, is we had one lesson where we did speed dating, only it was with computer science questions. So we each had to research a different topic of the spec, I think, a page or 2 of the textbook that we had. And we had to write down, I think, 5 questions. We sort of circulated around and we'd ask each other all of them. That was really good. We only did it once, although, if anyone wants to steal that idea from my old teacher, I think it was great. So little top tip there for anyone listening.
Good job. So yeah, we're happy for if people would like to put their hands up and come off mic and ask me or Anna or Harry any questions. We're opening the floor now.
I would be interested to know, how did your school pick the Edexcel paper? Did your teacher just choose it, or did they involve you and your classmates in that decision? Do you even know how the teacher decided?
Well, I know that we were doing another board, who shall not be named, for several years. And I think then in the end, my teacher actually found out about yours. I think she switched over the year 11 above us, like right before their exam, or a few months before, actually, when she found out about it. Just because she didn't know there was an on-screen GCSE. And I think as soon as she found out, they were right over onto it. So they did that year before I started it. So I wasn't involved in the decision, but I was very pleased with it. But yeah, it was essentially as soon as they found out, I think they switched straight away just because it made a lot more sense to them. And I think also in our school in particular, I'm not sure how ubiquitous this problem is, but people were struggling doing the code on paper, which I think is quite reasonable. So that was one of the reasons they switched. Yeah.
So I've got a question. How did you find the time to balance the theory knowledge for paper 1 and being able to program to a high level for paper 2? Did you program a lot in your spare time?
Yes, so I think that really is a question it's difficult for me to answer, like compared to a normal student, because I could already program for years. So like I didn't have to do very much revision at all for paper 2. I think I had a look at string formatting the night before the exam, and that was the one bit that I wasn't sure about. But I think, I can imagine that being a bit of a struggle for other students, having to balance the 2 out. So, I guess doing half and half probably is the way to do it.
I would say, Melissa, as well, that in our scheme of work, we have the practical programming in parallel from week 1 in our scheme of work, activities with activity solutions. So the idea that the practical programming is entwined and started from day 1 is how we would recommend it's delivered. So, and that's what's built into our scheme of work that's available on the website for free.
Yeah, that's definitely how I'd do it as well. I would not leave coding until like the last few months just because it's topic 6 or no, don't do that. Code for 2 weeks, theory for 2 weeks, however. But
well, it also breaks up the theory as well, because it can get a bit heavy. Just like study theory, try to remember, learn. Doing that, mixing up the practical programming with it felt right when we were putting the scheme of work together. So.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have the 2 sort of mixed up, because if you just do the theory, it probably would be a bit dry, or if not, it's just a lot to remember. So having a bit of that computational thinking through doing the programming is probably nice to do as well. Mixed up with that, 2 weeks Mission Encodable and then 2 weeks of theory might be a way to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I also think that occasionally there are some really nice links between, I'm not sure about with this board, but for AQA, I know there are some really nice links between some of the theory and some like programming practice that students could do. For example, decimal to binary conversion or hexadecimal to binary, and those are just nice exercises that can be built in that work quite well to kind of build up confidence in both the theory and the programming.
Yeah,
good
agree.
Point. There are quite a few bits where you can do that. I think another one is when you do, like how data is transmitted over the internet. I'm not sure if it's in the GCSE, but often it uses a checksum. So one of the programs that I think we did definitely was some sort of checksum calculation for the ISBN barcodes. That might be in a past paper or a specimen actually. So yeah, that's a good one to do, I think. But yeah, if you can mix the two together, it's really nice, I think, because it gives you that more holistic understanding of the theoretical concepts.
We've got a question. Anna, what degree course do you want to do at university? I'm presuming you want to go to university.
Yes. So I want to do either computer science, or there's a course at Edinburgh called Cognitive Sciences, which is kind of psychology, linguistics, computer science, all like wrapped up in one, which I think sounds quite interesting. But I think computer science is the one for me.
And Edinburgh's too far away.
Edinburgh's a long way away.
Mum and Dad won't be happy with
Harry,
that.
it's not too far, but for me, it's
no. Yeah, he's closer. He's closer. So while we're waiting for more questions to come in, I'm going to just continue on through the presentation. We've still got 20 minutes. Really, really happy for anyone to raise a hand and come off mic and ask our guests any questions. So to contact me, there's my email addresses down at the bottom of your screen, and there's also you can make a 15-minute appointment with me by clicking on that link to create a meeting. We've got, look now, we've made sure we've added Mission Encodable to our website link of industry partners. We consider you to be a full-blown publisher at this stage, guys.
Oh, great.
I'm waiting to find out when I can get shares. So Craig and Dave, you work with, maybe you should tell us a little bit about your relationship with Craig and Dave, because Craig and Dave have gained quite a appeal in terms of their flipped learning model and YouTube videos. And Craig and Dave worked with me and the team when we were developing the spec very closely as well. They were very helpful actually in helping us get some of the details in place. Do you want to talk a little bit about your relationship?
Yeah, go for it, Anna.
Okay, perfect. So Craig and Dave, I'm not sure if any of you have been using, they have got a new programming site called Time to Code, which follows a framework that Dave has created called TIME, which is a bit like PRIM. It stands for Try, Investigate, Make, and Modify and Evaluate. Sorry, I'm getting PRIM and my time confused, but they have their Python course at the moment. It's broken down into 9 levels, and that perfectly aligns with our 9 levels. And then that just means that if there are any projects, they can be kind of interchanged between, so you can do a bit of Time to Code, then a bit of Mission Encodable if you want. Time to Code is a bit more exam style questions. They're quite good for preparing for tests and things. And I'd say Mission Encodable is a bit more, the projects are a bit more relatable and engaging. And then those can come together really well to provide students with a really strong understanding of programming. Also for us, it's been really a really good opportunity because working with them, they've been able to advise us in how we can make our course kind of pedagogically sound and also have the very best sequencing that we can. Harry, do you want to add to that at all?
I think that's all there really is to say, but definitely, like, if teachers on here already are using Time to Code, look at Mission Encodable 2, and if you're new to both of them, then the two work really well together. So some timetocode.today, I think, is their website address, and the two basically, the same scheme, but they have more projects in addition to what Mission Encodable offers. So definitely take a look at that. It's been really nice working with them. And
yeah, they're great,
nice
aren't they?
Going. Yeah.
So had a question from Lee Holleran. Do you alternate one lesson theory and then one practical and so on? I think that's pretty much in our scheme of work. Every week throughout the scheme of work, there's the topics 1 to 5 and the topic 6 lessons side by side. So yeah, if you want me to talk you through that in more detail, Lee, or you want to get a copy of it, you can't find it, just drop me an email and I'll help you find it. Nobody's coming off mic. Everybody's being very polite. It's not normal for teachers, right? Normally they're grabbing the mics.
Come on, teachers, be brave.
Come on.
You can do it.
I'm scrolling on in my PowerPoint anyway. If you are looking to switch, we have the comprehensive schemes of work with lesson plans, activities and solutions. Sample assessment materials, as Harry said, with 3 complete sets of specimen papers, exemplar work and examiner commentary. The specimen papers, not only have we curated a full set of 3 specimen papers, the beauty of those is they will stay padlocked. Past papers, you can see the 2022 papers have come off padlock now, so students can get them. So the specimen papers will stay under silver padlock, which means teachers only access. So they remain as a really good resource for doing sort of proper mock tests or unseen tests. So that's good. Who works on the development of the website? Both of you. It's in webinar mode. Oh, sorry, that's about. That's my fault. Yeah, so we've got we can't people can't unmute because we're doing it because of the way we've set Teams up. So,
if they just raise their hand, we can unmute them. We can give them the mic.
Great. So just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So there's a question which says, who works on the development of the website? Both of you?
Yes. Yeah, we've both written.
What technology is it? Do you have a framework underneath it, or is it base HTML?
It's React, which is a JavaScript.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a database that gets all the course content and things like that.
Brilliant.
We both work on that, which is a good coding project for us.
Yeah. I've just grappled through a Django project. It's done my head in a little bit, I must say. So to go back to the specimen papers. So
all right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Okay. I first of all want to thank both of you. That's a really nice website, and I've been using it with my students, and they like it too, and we'll be using it more. I wanted to ask, I've seen one of my students themselves have developed this web and Python project to create their own kind of CV or resume. And I was wondering, like it's interactive, so they click on a thing and they said what projects they have done and everything. So wondering if you all could do some kind of a tutorial on making an interactive resume or CV, for students. That would be really nice.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, as we were saying earlier, we thought about doing A-level stuff before and expanding our offer into that. And I think if we did that, presumably we'd have to teach HTML and CSS. I'm imagining, is that a JavaScript kind of website your students have made, or is that using some sort of Python framework?
I think it was HTML. On the front end, I think he said he used HTML and then React JS and then some Python at the back end. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So I think we might have that coming soon, or some of that at least, with the A-level stuff. We might end up with some HTML tutorials. Sounds like a cool project he's got going there. I'm not sure whether we'd be covering as much JavaScript, just as at the moment we do Python. We might do C# in the future, but I think JavaScript is unlikely. But definitely, it's worth considering, and thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great.
We've got 15 minutes left. I'm still halfway through this slide here. So there's a full 6 practice papers, and I believe we are very close to releasing a 4th set of specimen papers. But what I was going to say about the specimen papers, not only are they the full set of materials to do the tests and practice them, but there are also full commentaries with exemplar answers, with the examiners explaining how the mark scheme was applied for all of those specimen papers 2s. So it's all about trying to put across that you can be confident of how the marking is done. So if you have questions about any of those materials, or anything else that you've heard tonight, anything about the spec, how you get further information, now's your opportunity. So any hands that come up, we can take you off mute. And guys, in your A-levels, what programming languages are you using?
So I'm doing C#, Anna's doing Python.
So I was going to say stuck with Python. Was it Python you did at GCSE as well, Anna?
Stuck with Python.
It's interesting, isn't it? The language. So, and how do you feel with the C#? So, you know, your GCSE was full on Python, and now you're grappling with a completely different language. Were our good habits that we helped you with? Do they translate?
I think they do, because I think once you've learned the syntax of one language, so Python in my case, it's quite easy to transfer the concepts over. You know, you might have a few more lines you need to do, like, for example, to get the user to enter their name. In Python, you just say, you know, input whatever. In C#, you know, you have to console.write, and then you have to console.read line. But it's all very similar, really. Once you can do Python, I think.
So one of the things that was said to me was, I was asked, well, why do you give marks for students declaring and typing variables? Because in Python you don't have to. You can just throw them in as you go along. But that's part of what we've got in our good programming practice as a good habit, and something that you absolutely have to do with C#, right?
Yeah, you absolutely do. So I think it's good that you're encouraging people to do that through that good programming practice guide, which I know is quite a lengthy read, but it's a good one to have a look at, especially for teachers. Well,
it's written, I must say, Harry, in fairness, it's more written for the teachers, I think. I didn't expect too many students would have scrabbled through it. But yeah, I'm glad. It's nice to hear that you did. So we've got a question. Do the levels on Mission Encodable link with the questions on the exam?
Right. So we've got 9 levels, which I know like coincides with GCSE 9 to 1, but to be clear, that's not really how it works. So you can't expect to do level 9, get a grade 9, or say if you can do the level, you know, if you can do the stuff in level 5, you'll get a grade 5. It's not really like that. So if that's the question, then no. But I will say we do cover the full range of questions in the GCSE. So by the time students are on level 9 or well, level 10, it'll be very soon once we've got Turtle out. The questions they're doing in there, or the projects we set, probably are at the same standard as like a question 5 or a question 6 on one of the Edexcel GCSE papers, possibly a bit beyond on some of them. So it covers the whole GCSE, or it will do in a week's time anyway, once we've got to.
Yeah, but certainly the levels don't map to the questions. Our paper 2 is 6 questions, and it ramps in challenge from question 1 to 6. I think weren't the levels in Mission Encodable more tied to some of the Craig and Dave levels or something? Is that where the structure came from?
Yeah, Anna can probably talk more about that actually.
Yes, so they are tied to the time to code levels, but they also, I'll just add to what Harry said, each level kind of covers 1 or 2 programming concepts. So for example, we have a level on for loops and another level on while loops. So those programming concepts, you can develop them in one level if you need some extra practice on that. But no, they're not linked with the questions, although they are linked with Kogan Dash time to code levels, and they are really good for honing in on a specific concept if you need help with that.
So thank you. I hope that answers your questions, Lee. So we've got 10 minutes left. If we, I just want to thank you, Harry and Anna, for being such lovely guests and such, inspirational young people. It's so great to see this. I wish I could have met you when I was teaching. Now I'm on the other side of the board now, and it was great. I'm glad you got through all of the firewalls that were supposed to be keeping you away from me. I'm glad you got through.
Oh well, thank you for inviting us. It's been really nice to come along and have a speak with everyone. It'd be fun to have another question if someone would like to unmute.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know that I've had some messages where people have had to leave. They've sent their apologies, but they needed to scoot off.
Right, okay.
If anyone else has any more questions, otherwise, I think I'm going to give you maybe 8 or 7 minutes of your day back. But thank you so much, guys. Do keep in touch, Harry and Anna, because we want to make sure that we're part and parcel of whatever the next adventure is.
Oh, well, we definitely will do. And thank you again for having us. So
if there's nothing else from anyone else, no hands up, I think we'll call it a day. Thanks so much. I hope the mock maths went well.
Me too.
I'm sure it was fine. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for giving us your time, and don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any other, you want to ask any further questions. Call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you.